We're live.
We live.
Live. Lights. I call to order the regular Board of Education meeting on March 2025. Just a little bit of solar the day before, 4 a.m. tomorrow. I believe 4:01 a.m.
Tomorrow, yes.
Tomorrow is the beginning of the spring. There's a little diversion there, but at 6:35 o'clock. 6:30 o'clock in the boardroom of Oak Park River Forest High School, and ask for roll call.
Mr. Brisbane.
Here.
Dr. Maharaj.
Here.
Mr. Arkin.
Here.
Ms. Williams Lee.
Here.
Dr. Livingston.
Here.
Mr. Brandon.
Here.
And Mr. Kowski.
Here.
Okay. I move to enter closed session for the purpose of discussing the employment compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the district or the council of the district and independent contractors and specific volunteers, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee or against legal counsel for the district to determine its validity. However, a meeting to consider an increase in compensation of a specific employee of a public body that is subject to the Local Government Wage Increase Transparency Act may not be closed and shall be open to the public and posted and held in accordance with this act. Collective negotiating matters between the district and its employees or their representatives or deliberation concerning salary schedule for one or more classes of employees in litigation when an action against, affecting, or on behalf of the particular public body has been filed and is pending before a court or administrative tribunal, or when the public body finds that an action is probable or imminent, in which case the basis for the finding shall be recorded and entered into the minutes of the closed meeting.
Second.
And I ask for a roll call, please.
Dr. Maharaj.
Yes.
Mr. Arkin.
Yes.
Ms. Williams Lee.
Yes.
Mr. Brisbane.
Yes.
Mr. Brandon.
Yes.
Dr. Livingston.
Yes.
Mr. Kowski.
Yes.
Hey, Ricky, we'll be back at 7:30.
Okay.
Share, where is it? This one.
Yeah, because I would have heard something by now on here. Oh, shoot. Yeah. Test 1, 2, test 1, 2.
Please take a seat. Where's Iris? Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Alright.
What did I know?
Okay. Welcome. We are reconvening open session and board agenda. And our first. Is everyone that wants to be in here in here? We have,
Brad Williams out there, so we'll.
we're gonna do something like that.
We'll just like kind of swap out.
Okay, that's fine. So then we will begin in our first order of business, our introductory report, starting with student showcase. So, Dr. Johnson, you wanna take it off?
Yeah, I'm excited to share that we have 4 exciting programs to recognize tonight. We are going to start with, actually, maybe I'll let those who are coordinating the people to let me know what we're starting.
Wow, we'll start with swimming.
All right, we're starting with boys swimming. So I'm
Good evening. Thank you for having us here tonight. I'm Coach Clyde Bungren.
Did you get the button on it? Make sure it's green.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
sir.
Great to go. You guys got it?
Mhm.
All right. Let the record show that I did it correctly. No, thank you so much for having us here tonight. I'm super proud of the boys that I have with me. They represent the team swimming and diving for 2024-25. And they're great representatives of what we try to do at Opera with our swim and dive team. We really pride ourselves on being champions of character, being leaders in the classroom, in the hallways, as well as competing at a high level in the swimming arena. So these boys are going to just share a little bit about themselves, how they got to state, and try to give you some insight to our program and who they are as people. So thank you for the time. Fix the camera.
Hi, my name is Will Keys. I'm a senior. This year's my 3rd year competing at state. I swam the 100 freestyle, the 200 freestyle, and the 200 freestyle relay. And one thing I wanted to share about this team, especially this year, that's really special is that we faced some adversity at the start of the year. And I think that instead of shutting down, which is something we could have done, we really persevered and pushed through that. And I think that it made us much closer as a team, and it made that the camaraderie much more special and impactful for us. So I think that that's something that's very special about the program, is that the friendship and community that's built is pretty unique.
Hi, I'm Alfonso Cides. I'm a sophomore. It's my first year at state. Hopefully not last. But yeah, what I want to share about swim team is just like it's really close, tight knit community that's like bonded by I think something really unique. You know how hard we all work and every day just coming to practice to push each other even when it's mornings over winter break, the day after Christmas, and yeah.
Hi, my name is Luis Cotillo. I'm a senior and this was my first year competing at state. I never really swam before my freshman year, so making state my senior year was a really nice culmination of my career here. And I really believe that the swim team has made me who I am today. Clyde talked about champions of character, and I really believe that I'm a better person because of swim team. I'm the person I am today because of the swim team, and I've made most of my friends through the swim team. It's a very special program to me.
Hi, I'm Andrew Harmon. I'm a senior. This is my first year making state meet in swimming, but I have been performing cross country a few times, so used to being at big meets, but I think this was a lot of fun this year at swimming. And what I like most about the swim team is how close the team is, you know, as Alfonso was mentioning earlier, like this team really does work hard, and especially winter break is one point where it's like, you know, you wanna stay home and relax, but you gotta wake up 7 a.m. every day and grind, and whether it's like working hard at practice with all my teammates or like going after practice to play basketball and then go out to breakfast, it's just been a blast for 4 years and I'm really gonna miss it.
Alright, so I just wanna point out that this is an accomplishment that happened in a 100-year-old pool, having to share space on 3 different levels, so I can only imagine what we're gonna do in the years to come, so thank you.
What's next?
All right, next up, we have Special Olympics basketball. I'm gonna invite Coach Coletti to come up. And introduce.
I'm Coach Coletti, this is Coach Perez, we coach this lunch team, we have 3 Special Olympics teams. This is our higher level, we were 9-2 or 10-2 this year. We had 2 losses that built our character. But we went downstate a couple weeks ago, and our first game, it's kind of. We play these teams that you never know what level they're gonna be at. And usually you think that the championship game is going to be the most challenging. But to get into the championship game, we actually came back from 24, we were down 24 points. I had kind of given up at halftime, but Coach Alice never did. And he really pushed these guys to keep going in, and we drew enough fouls to get the best players in the other team fouled out, and yeah, we won. And it was our whole team program, a lot of our peer leaders were there. It was a really exciting event to have everyone rush the crowd at a Special Olympics tournament. This is Paul Nelson. He was one of our he got a special award in the championship game for sportsmanship. And Marcus Reed, he had gotten the sportsmanship for the first game. This is Donovan Anderson, Carter Jones, Marco Rios, Kevin Chavez, and Jonathan Galvez. This is, these guys will be together for the next 2 years, so we hope to repeat and three-peat.
Yeah.
And in the tournament, we thought we had to lose, but we're not. We just win. We just into the next game. But we are fighting against the Flying Tigers, but one of our friends is in OPRF with us, is in the Flying Tigers. I met him. It's gonna be having the medal with all of them.
My name is Marco Rios, and I'm part of the under 34 team, the orange team. So I like about the tournament is we finally beat two games. Like I forgot what the school is, and it's like the best part of the day when we play every one shot.
Hi, I'm Carter, and I made 4 shots in my game that I was in. Okay, handle the mic, boy.
I made 100 baskets
Probably did.
and I made 1 3-pointer. And it's my first day in state and I was on my last.
I like the ball.
Good job, John.
Hi, my name is Marcus Reed. I did good at basketball.
I don't know what to say. I did an awesome job in basketball. And I also am the best student at OPRL because I've been at OPRL for a long time since I graduated 2024. And I enjoy to see my friends here. And I won basketball because I got my first basket. And I felt proud because my parents were there and my siblings. And I'm super proud of my mom because she's so nice.
Did not plan that. They did that ad lib, so that was pretty awesome. Let's go around. And then if you bear with us momentarily, we're gonna kind of swap out and we have our state qualifiers for boys wrestling coming in.
For a good moment, yeah. Just give it a minute. There's a lot of fun.
Let's see. It's gonna be a minute. So no, wrestle me for the cookie and like, I'm not ready. It's a lot. Yeah, damn.
Can't see the rest of the audience.
What? Okay, what do y'all?
Yeah, this one, yes. This one.
Somebody can sit, couple guys
Couple y'all sit so everybody can get in. Sit down. Everybody can get in. Sit down so everybody can get in.
Who's got questions for the seated folks? Right.
You guys can be first up on the speech.
How does wrestling work?
I'll explain it to you.
Okay.
I'll explain the whole
It was a question.
thing. All right, so first and foremost, thank you all for having us here. I'm just gonna kind of run through some of the things we were able to accomplish this year as a team. Talk about a couple individuals and introduce everybody that was able to make it this evening. So this year, the varsity boys were able to compile a 15-4 dual meet record, 6-0 in conference, so we were the conference champions. We won the Neuqua Valley tournament, the OPRF tournament. We took third in the Whitlatch tournament. We traveled out to California this season, which was pretty awesome. And we were actually able to bring 15 wrestlers out there who competed at 2 different tournaments. One is the Dr. Buchanan Invitational, which is one of the best high school tournaments in the country. We sent 6 wrestlers there. We had MJ Rundell, who finished 5th at that tournament. And then we had Joe Maxley, who lost in the blood round. We also sent another group of guys to the Redwood Invitational and actually took 10th place as a team out of, I think there were 50-some teams represented there, with only our 8 wrestlers. Lucas Albrook took a 2nd at that tournament, and Gabe Rojas and Terrence Gardner placed as well.
We came back, we were fortunate enough to win the regional championship, which gave us an opportunity to compete at team sectionals. Before that, we had 12 sectional qualifiers from that regional championship. From the 12 sectional qualifiers, we had 7 state qualifiers. Zev Taransky, AJ Noyes, David Ogunsanya, and Eric Harris were the 4 that were able to compete there. We had 3 all-state wrestlers on top of that, with Jamil Castleberry finishing 5th, and Joseph Maxted finishing 4th. And we had our state champion, Amjad Randell, who unfortunately cannot be here tonight. He is currently flying to Estonia to train and compete during spring break in freestyle and Greco. So he was the state champion for us. He's a sophomore. It's a pretty interesting legacy. Both of his older brothers actually had earned state championships for us as well. The seniors that are not all of them, but Joe Maxted, who took 4th this year, is actually going to wrestle at Cornell next year in Ivy League. So he's extremely excited about that. We had of our, I think, 14 boys, we had 11 all conference, which are seniors with a 3.0 or above. So 11 out of the 14 were academic all conference, which was fantastic because we've obviously been pushing the boys to do well in wrestling. And, you know, we talk about having well-rounded humans within our program. And so the fact that they are putting, you know, academics ahead of things is fantastic, while we're also continuing to build, you know, the achievements of the program as well. I'm gonna introduce everybody here. So when we won the regional that qualified us for the team section, all this is still gonna be confusing, but I'm kind of explaining how wrestling works. Yeah, so an individual tournament qualifies us for team sectionals, where we wrestled St. Charles East. We were not considered the favorite in that dual meet. Side note, which is probably, you know, maybe not should go in the meeting, but my 81-year-old father got kicked out of the dual meet because he was heckling the referee so much, and they actually did make him leave the gym at 81 years old. And he was a former wrestling coach and had only actually been moved out of one event. So that was the second one as an 81-year-old man. But we had an extremely exciting dual meet where we asked a lot of the boys on the team to kind of, and we talked about creating a family-like atmosphere and wrestling for something bigger than yourselves and being a part of something bigger than yourselves and having gratitude for those who are around you. And Coach Jason Renteria talked about this before the dual meet, about how the love for our program is going to be greater than St. Charles, and that proved to be that edge in that dual meet. And we won an exciting dual meet. Unfortunately, we got down to the quarterfinals and we split the matches with Joliet Catholics, who we won 7, they won 7, but they earned more bonus points than we did, and we lost that dual meet. But over the last couple of years, we've built, you know, back-to-back conference champions, back-to-back regional champions. And we're, you know, again, talked about this last night, but 3 years ago, we had 1 state qualifier. And maybe a handful of sectional qualifiers. So we know where we want to be, and we know that we're building in the right direction. And a lot of that is testament to the young man standing behind me, and Coach Jason Renteria, who was a all-state wrestler for us, who has now come back and is coaching and is doing a fantastic job, and it's provided a real spark over the last couple of years when our program really needed it. So he's been a tremendous asset over the last couple of years. I'm gonna go through these names and then I will stop talking. With that. Jordan Zara, Liam Nikolakakis, Alex Cohen, Isaiah Gibson, Zev Karansky, Joseph Maxted, AJ Noyes, Jeremiah Hernandez, Ryan Wozniak, Zach Michaud, Ben Martin, Lucas Albrecht, Pierre Nelson, Terrence Gardner, Eric Harris, CJ Robinson, and Hugh Bannock. Please give them a round of applause. They did a fantastic job. And again, thank you all very much for having us here. I know these meetings can be long and tedious, but we appreciate your time. So thank you.
Thank you.
And we have one more recognition tonight, so when we transition here, we'll do our final, or I should say not recognition, I should say showcase.
Last thing I'll say really quickly is we came to school this morning with 2 inches of snow, and because of our investments in our facilities, we're able to play every contest today, so thank you.
There we go.
Outside wrestling meets now.
At Oak Park and River Forest High School, we have an amazing Japanese program that does a lot of things throughout the building. One of them is our exchange program. The Japanese program is continuing to grow. And tonight I have the privilege of having Sensei and her students here to talk a little bit about her program.
Okay.
Or Japanese, double.
Konbanwa. Hi, I'm Yoko Shibeki. I teach Japanese and that's enough about me and these are my students.
Everyone, my name is Ivani Sanders. I am a student here. I've been taking Japanese since freshman year. And I just want to say, like, Sensei, her class is just amazing. She's like the best teacher. She makes things so much fun. And she's like literally the reason why I'm going to school for a Japanese major in international business. So, even the exchange program, Nihon no Matsuri, just to be able to see how many people come and support and from different places in Chicago, just to be a part of this and just to experience our culture, our school culture, our norms, is truly amazing. So I'm very appreciative that I get to experience this and I get to be a part of something where other people can experience it. So thank you.
Hello, my name is Audrey Benskoper. I'm a senior, and I've also been taking Japanese for 4 years. And I had the honor of hosting a Japanese student for 2 weeks. And it was just such an amazing experience for me and also her. We still talk all the time, like I text with her all the time. And I think like we both just learned so much about each other and about like our respective cultures. And we showed her like all over Chicago. And I think like even like my family had just an amazing time. Like hanging out with her, and I think it's just such a valuable experience just to learn so much about like Japanese culture and for them to learn about American culture and just create like a bridge between like those two countries. And I think it's just such like an important and like amazing experience to do. So yeah.
I'm Sam from Hopkins. I'm also a senior and I've also taken Japanese for, I guess it's my 4th year. So I also hosted a student this year and last year too, and probably like I guess what I think is the best part about like hosting and stuff is that all of the host students come from our sister school in Japan, Noshiro Shoujo High School in Japan. So it's like the same school, they all know each other and stuff. And we knew the students last year too, so we kind of get to have like continuing relationships. We write to them, they write to us throughout the year. And it's just like really awesome to be able to have like a friend that lives in Japan. I mean, that's just pretty cool, but kind of like in general, being able to like keep up such a deep relationship, I feel like is really awesome. It's like awesome to get that privilege. So.
Hi, I'm Lynn Warwick. I'm also a senior here and I've been taking Japanese for 4 years. And I also had the honor of hosting a student this year. And I think one thing that like hosting gave me was that there's like only so much you can learn from textbooks in terms of like culture, the language, and just like manners and norms of Japan, but actually interacting with people who came from Japan and aren't necessarily fluent in English as well. We aren't fluent in Japanese as well. Like it's just such a like great thing to be able to like talk to them. Even with limited vocabulary, you really understand their culture and how they sort of live life in Japan. And I think it's just a great experience to have, really getting to immerse yourself in the culture, even though you aren't in the country that you're learning the language of. So I think it's a great experience and I want to continue doing that.
Hello, everyone. My name is Asher Frank, and I'm also a senior at the high school. I've been in Japanese 4 years. And I've been going to the Japan class since I was 5 years old. It's a staple in our community. Me and my family and many of my friends, schoolmates have always loved it. Little kids come from pre-K and even high schoolers still come to enjoy the delicious food, games, and immerse themselves in Japanese and OPRF culture. I've done the Great Sumo Station. If any of you know what that is, I've also this year done calligraphy and just words teaching people Japanese phrases. It's such a great opportunity. All the juniors and seniors are required to help out, set up, and work some of the stations, which is always really fun. It's a pleasure to see the members of the community and do an event that everyone just enjoys so much.
Hello, hello, my name is Will Mullen, I'm also a senior here and I've been taking it all 4 years. And I just gotta say, it's one of the best classes here, you know, the great teacher like Yoko. And a big thing is, it helped me break out of my comfort zone. I ended up deciding last summer to go to Japan for a month, which is one of the greatest decisions of my life. It was one of the best months of my life. But it's not just the content of the class, learning Japanese, that's fun. It's also connections you make. Because over the past 4 years, since OPRF is such a big high school, it's kind of hard to, you know, have the same classes with same people for years again, over and over again. But in Japanese, I've been having with these people for like 3-4 years, all my high school career, and I've made some amazing friendships, and that will last a lifetime.
Hi, my name is Laura Randall, and I'm also a senior. I've been taking Japanese for 4 years. And I have to say that honestly, out of all of my classes I've ever taken at all, even not in high school, I feel like I have the closest relationship with the teachers and all of the students in that class. I know the Japanese program is pretty big. We have a good amount of students, but the people in my grade that have been with me these past 4 years, I feel like I can call them all my friends. I think that's really special. I think that's also thanks to Sensei here. She really tries to foster a really nice community there. And we're always talking to each other in Japanese and in English. I've had a lot of good experiences with the Japanese program as well. I never hosted a foreign exchange student, but my friends have, and even being able just to hang out with someone new and just meet so many new people for, even if it's just 2 weeks, I think is honestly amazing. And I think my time doing everything with the Japanese program, I'll remember forever.
My name is Ryan Wozniak. I'm a senior. This is my 4th year taking Japanese. Honestly, the biggest thing I can say is like I was here for wrestling too, and that's one of the things about the Japanese program is you can spend your time doing so many different things at OPRF, but no matter how much time and effort you put into Japanese, like you're gonna get something out of it no matter what. It's just a really great program. It's built so that anybody can succeed in it, and it's just a really amazing culture. I've met so many friends over my 4 years in this class, and consistently every year it's been a class that I can look forward to and that I've had fun in and that I've gotten something out of.
Thank you.
Before you guys leave, I just want to point out that our sister school that you referenced earlier, Mashiro Shoyo, when they were here early in February, I think it was February 6th, if I recall, I was able to meet those students and all of you, and it was wonderful. And they gave a gift to the school. And so now Mashiro Shoyo is going to have a presence in this boardroom forever. They're sitting over there, maybe for a long time to come. I shouldn't say forever necessarily, I can't predict that, but yeah, they offered this scroll over here, and Sensei, you were kind enough to translate it for us, which is what is on the right-hand side of that. And it translates to, and I hope this all right, snowflakes make trees blossom. The beautiful snowflakes fall on tree branches and they look as if flowers do. So a really special gift. Glad to have that here in our boardroom. Thank you for coming tonight.
First day of spring.
Four AM. It was today at 4 AM. Okay, today at 4 AM. Thank you. 4 AM, 4:01.
Yes, we got one.
Okay.
Hello, good evening, that was a very decorated student showcase. Hard to follow up, but to begin, I would like to discuss OPRF's winter formal that took place on February 22nd. Our attendance was about 360 students. As a club, we were not sure where the disconnect was. We were a little shocked with our attendance because around 1,000 students stated that they would attend the dance on our interest survey. It was sent out over the first semester. And it was a majority of the people that took their surveys that they would attend. So we're a little confused with where the disconnect was. Because we heavily promoted the dance with flyers, posters, a call home, social media posts. We decorated the hallways. We tried to blast it as much as we could. So I'm a little confused, a little uncertain where it might have not really connected with our attendance. But we feel that if we decided to hold it again in the future, whatever the decision may be, we think that more students would attend because they're more familiar with the concept now. I think a lot of students were hesitant to attend because they were unsure of really what the vibe would be or what it would really end up, what that night would look like. So I think now that students are familiar with it and that older siblings or just older upperclassmen can kind of describe what it's like, I think if it does decide to be held again, that more people would go. And that with more promotion earlier within the year, that more students would become more familiar with it. Despite the turnout being smaller than what we imagined, everyone seemed to have enjoyed themselves and had a great time on the dance floor with the DJ, and also the photo booths were a great hit. And I know that myself and my friend group had great times. It's an upside to that. The job fair took place the week of the 24th during all lunch periods. I spoke to a handful of sophomores and juniors to try to see what their opinion about it was. And they voiced that the job fair is both beneficial and informational. They thought it was very convenient, and some people were even hired on the spot, which I thought was a cool experience and opportunity to take part in. And they overall thought that it was great that OPRF was putting in the work to look for these businesses in the Oak Park and River Forest area and to offer this opportunity to students. And plan really just is spent for us, and that you don't have to go out and look for these opportunities ourselves, that they're allowing us to just walk out during lunch period and just be hired on the spot, which is pretty great opportunity. Wheel Throwing Club held their annual Empty Bowls event on February 28th. I spoke to some underclassmen who had attended for the first time, so this event was very well run and highly organized. That was a good point. I also agree that it is very well run with kind of the lead-in section and also just the lines. I thought it was very well run. I myself attended this for my 4th time and absolutely loved the event as always. I think it's a great way to both uplift the talents of OPRF's art program as well as give back to the community. I absolutely love Empty Bowls. The winter musical, the theater department put on their winter musical of Cinderella on the 1st, 2nd, 7th, and 8th of March. I spoke to a variety of students who attended, and they said it was a wonderful production this year, and they also highlighted how they thought it was great that teen students were able to participate in the musical. I also spoke to some people who were in the musical, and they said it was very good turnout this year, and that the production went well. The inclusion assembly took place. OPRF hosted it on this past Thursday, March 13th. Many students say it is their favorite assembly by far to attend because of the high energy and positive atmosphere surrounding the event. And I spoke to a handful of athletes who love being a part of the event by sitting courtside and be able to promote their programs when at the beginning they're able to step up each team, say their inclusion code, and also promote their sports, promote their events. and meets games coming up. The OPRF Special Olympics team, as we know, made it down state, which is always exciting. And the last thing I'll touch on is the theater department put on another little theater performance, The Actors Nightmare, on March 13th, 14th, and 15th. I spoke to a couple of participating students who appreciate the opportunity to step out of their comfort zone and into roles that they would not be able to otherwise in larger performances. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Okay, and for my announcements, I have a few things to share here today. First of all, congratulations to Allison Hennings on being awarded the 2025 Teacher of Merit from the Regeneron Science Talent Search. It's the nation's longest running and most prestigious science research competition. This award honors exceptional research educators who go above and beyond in mentoring students for the talent search. This year, Ms. Hennings' student Amelia Hammersley was one of 300 high schoolers nationwide to be named a semifinalist in the 2025 Regeneron Talent Search. We've referenced this program several times here for various reasons, so it's a very fitting award. Congratulations to Allison. Congratulations to the entire speech team on their performances at the IHSA State Speech Tournament. A special congratulations to William Cope for earning tournament runner-up with a second place finish in extemporaneous speaking, and to Alejandro Medina, also a tournament runner-up, earning second place in humorous interpretation. Congratulations to Vex Robotics Team 99371B, who won the state championship and have officially qualified for the Vex World Robotics Championship in Dallas this May. Good luck to team members Sam Primo Hopkins, Asher Frank, who you saw, Lars Olson, Sophie Hay, Lily Zinfer, and Milo Hansen. And finally, I want to recognize and mention 18 different Huskies who recently attended the BioBuilder Club Symposium at the Reagan Medical Institute on the campus of MIT in Cambridge, Massachusetts, joining over 50 teams of high school synthetic biology from across the globe. The students from OPRF were divided into 3 teams using their knowledge of synthetic biology to design solutions for the problems of fertilizer runoff, methane emissions from factory farms, and prevention of pathogenic E. coli outbreaks. This is not light work. The teams were able to present and discuss their solutions at the BioBuilder Symposium with other talented high school students and leading adult professionals in the field. They returned from this great trip ready to test their solutions and potentially publish their findings in the peer-reviewed journal for high school synthetic biology called BioTrex. So congratulations to all these students. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Johnson. And from that, we go to FOIA reports.
10 submissions. 10 submissions be resolved.
Thank you. Okay. We now move to our employee recognition segment, and today we are pleased to continue our employee recognition program for the 2024-25 school year. The employee recognition is sponsored by Oak Park Bank, a Wintrust Community Bank. Oh, that's me. Okay. Is Esteban here?
He is not.
He's not.
Okay. First, we would like to congratulate Esteban Medina, counselor, who was selected as the Faculty of the Month. Here are some of the highlights from the nominations received for Esteban. Esteban streamlines counseling tasks with tech, saving hours of work. A patient mentor, he supports colleagues and administration while enhancing efficiency through AI, Skyward, and Google tools, improving services for students and staff alike. So congratulations to Esteban.
And now I'd like to extend congratulations to Donnie Davis, Assistant Head Custodian, who was chosen as February's Employee of the Month. I don't think he's down here.
No, but I have someone to pick up his award.
Here are some of the highlights from the nominations received for Donnie. And Donnie goes above and beyond working extra hours, leading his team and helping everyone. He keeps the school running smoothly. Without him, big events would be chaos. He's the man for the job, and I have firsthand knowledge of that. It's true. Congratulations, Don.
Mr. Sellers, you want to come and accept Mr. Davis' award?
Since you're not getting it, we're not getting a picture with you. Suzanne Donnie's not here.
All right, well, I'll say, give that shake to Don. Yeah, we'll go. Thank you.
Next, we'd like to thank or extend congratulations to our March Employee of the Month, Tom Hoover, food service cashier.
Yes, here tonight.
Excellent. Here are some of the highlights from the nominations received for Tom. Tom is a reliable, hardworking team player with perfect attendance. He goes above and beyond to keep operations running smoothly while creating a welcoming, positive atmosphere in the staff cafe for his colleagues daily. Congratulations, Tom. Would you like to say anything?
Talk to the mic.
Thank you. Great. And you get a picture. Go down.
And I'd also like to extend congratulations to our substitute of the month, Ricky Brown. Is Ricky here?
He is online.
Yeah. For Ricky, here are some of the highlights from the nominations received for Ricky. OPRF alumni, Ricky is a superstar guest teacher, frequently requested to return to classes he has substituted for, while also dedicating countless hours to helping students with their work during his free periods. He has made a significant impact as a co-sponsor of the Spoken Word Club and truly deserves all the praise and recognition he can get. Congratulations again, Ricky.
He's there.
Thank you.
Ricky, you want to unmute?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yes. Trying to see you.
Anything you'd like to say, Ricky?
Yeah, sure. I would like to say thank you for the award. It's an honor, and it's been a privilege being able to return to OPRF and to not only help with the Spoken Word Club, but to also help different students at different times with different questions about college, about just different things throughout the process of getting an education. And I'm going to sorely miss being there with the students, with my fellow faculty. And I really just appreciate everybody. Thank y'all so much.
Okay, so congratulations to our February and March employee winners. And that concludes the recognition, and we move to public comment. Lisa?
We have one for tonight in person.
Okay. Just as a please limit public comment concerning matters within the jurisdiction of the business of the Board of Education to 3 minutes, and this section is not intended to be a dialogue with the board. Any response will be within a 2-week period. 3.
Only speaker for tonight is Mr. Mike Poirier.
Well, it's another Thursday evening in Oak Park, where else would I expect to find you all? Not here to talk about what you probably expect. Instead, I'd like to take a few minutes this evening to recognize just some of the many contributions made to this Board of Education over the past 12 years by Tom Kofsky. Now, I know that technically, next month's Board of Education meeting is Tom's last. But I also know from past experience that one of the first orders of business for that meeting will be to seat the new members of the board. So by the time public comment rolls around next month, Tom will no longer be at the board table, and in fact may not be in the building. So this seems to be my last opportunity to publicly recognize some of Tom's contributions and accomplishments. Before proceeding, however, I want to confirm that the 3-minute speaking limit needs to remain in effect because I have a lot of nice things to say.
3 minutes. 3 minutes. Sorry.
Extended to 5.
2 minutes left.
I'll start with something which some may tend to forget or just kind of overlook. And that is the fact that Tom has been willing to put in 12 years of hard work to improve this school and our communities. At a time when very few individuals served more than one term on this board, the continuity value that Tom has brought has positively impacted the effectiveness of this board tremendously. Simply because he's taken the time to develop and share his expertise and perspective. Next, as you might expect, I want to recognize Tom's contributions to the work of the Imagine team. During early reviews with the Board of Education, Tom's input significantly influenced the adoption of the 3 underlying principles which guided all our work: student-centered, equity-focused, needs-driven. More recently, Tom has been instrumental in championing the approval for Project 2, including working to gain board approval for an excellent funding plan, which minimizes the impact on local property taxpayers, structures part of the funding to require the administration to have some skin in the game, and spreads a substantial amount of the funding out over a 20-year period, thus amortizing much of the cost to those who will most directly benefit from the investment. I should be approaching the 3-minute mark by now, and I know Tom has too much integrity to allow me to blather on indefinitely, so let me close with this. One of Tom's qualities, which I particularly appreciate, is that he cares deeply for the students at this school, for his fellow board members, the administration here, to the faculty, staff, and yes, even volunteers with whom he has worked over these past 12 years. So thank you, Tom. You leave this institution and all of us who have worked with you much better for the experience.
Thank you.
Can I write you in? Mr. Coffee there from Google.
All right, thank you. We now move to the consent agenda. And before getting into it, are there any items that board members would like to pull for discussion? Which one?
Yeah, item C, yes, no question.
Okay, we will pull item C. Any others? Okay, so I move to approve the consent items as follows. A, approval of open and closed minutes of February 20, February 24, and March 6, 2025, and a declaration that the audio tapes of the closed session minutes of April 2023 be destroyed. B, approval of the personnel recommendations, including new hires, summer school hires, resignations, and leaves of absence. D, approval of the amendment to the B101 master contract with FGM Architects. E, approval of the January 2025 treasurer's report as presented. F, approval of the February and March 2025 check disbursements and financial resolutions, including the payroll resolutions for April 2025. And G, approval of the January 2025 financial reports as presented.
Second.
And a roll call, please.
Mr. Greenwood,
Yes.
Mr. Winsley,
Yes.
Dr. Lipson,
Yes.
Dr. Maharaj,
Sorry, yes.
Mr. Visser,
Yes.
Mr. Arkin.
Yes.
And Mr. Costi.
Yes, the motions pass and we move to now I move to approve the renewal of the ISHA membership for the 2025-2026 school year.
Second.
And discussion.
Question.
Question.
Is there a membership fee associated with this or?
There is not, looking at Linda back there too, yeah, it's just a sign for him to make sure we're part. Thank you.
Okay, a roll call, please.
Dr. Livingston.
Yes.
Ms. Williams Lee.
Yes.
Mr. Brisbane.
Yes.
Dr. Maharaj.
Yes.
Mr. Grandhorst.
Yes.
Mr. Arkin.
Yes.
And Mr. Kowski.
Yes, the motion passes. And we move to our action items, of which there are 4 this evening. First is our staffing recommendation for 2025. I move to approve at no additional cost to the district an increase of 0.8 FTE for administrative FTE to separate the current fine and applied arts division head positions into 2 positions, fine and performing arts division head and career and technical education division head, and a reallocation of 1.0 FTE in faculty instruction support to create a special education team chair. And is there any discussion? This was originally consent, but and while we are approving the really 2 specific positions, I just wanted to kind of relate it to 2 weeks ago when the administration, I think, did a fine job of presenting an overview of really what our staffing needs are for the district as a whole. This is just the 2 changes. And so we are approving the specific changes, but I want to recognize that the work of the entire plan and the progress that's been made over the decade of enhancing our processes to do this work. So that said, I ask for the roll call, please.
Ms. Williams Lee. Yes. Dr. Livingston.
Yes.
Mr. Brisbane.
Yes.
Mr. Arkin.
Yes.
Dr. Maharaj.
Yes.
Mr. Grandhorst.
Yes.
And Mr. Kowski.
Yes, the motion passes. Next, I move to approve the resolution authorizing non-reemployment of full-time, non-tenured teachers not in the last year of probationary service. And is there any discussion? Okay, a roll call, please.
Mr. Arkin.
Yes.
Ms. Williams Lee.
Yes.
Dr. Livingston.
Yes.
Dr. Maharaj.
Yes.
Mr. Grandhorst.
Yes.
Mr. Brisbane.
Yes.
And Mr. Kowski.
Yes, the motion passes. Our third is I move to approve the project authorization with FGM Architects for Project 3 programming at a cost of $182,500.
Second.
And is there any discussion on this one?
Discussion, not just a question, just a comment. I appreciate the historical perspective and the information, the reminders of what we've done, what we're doing, what got pulled forward as we think about next. And I think the process of going to a smaller scope and really revisiting the programming side will be important. So I am supportive of this work.
This is a comment, save the climbing gym.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, then may we have a roll call, please?
Dr. Livingston.
Yes.
Ms. Williams Lee.
Yes.
Mr. Brisbane.
Yes.
Dr. Maharaj.
Yes.
Mr. Grandhorst.
Yes.
Mr. Arkin.
Yes.
And Mr. Kowski.
Yes. Thank you, Tony. Gregor. Once again, that shirt on the camera on the screen.
As I sat down, I was like, oh, I'm wearing the same shirt.
It's a.
Where did you get it?
Yeah.
Probably.
Okay. I move to approve the resolution authorizing the non-reemployment of part-time, non-tenured teachers and teachers hired under a temporary contract. Any discussion? Seeing none, a roll call please.
Mr. Brisbane,
Yes.
Dr. Maharaj,
Yes.
Mr. Arkin,
Yes.
Ms. Williams,
Yes.
Dr. Livingston,
Yes.
Mr. Grant,
Yeah.
and Mr. Thompson.
Yes. And the motion passes. And that completes our action for this evening. We now move to discussion, of which there are two agenda items. First, we have the geothermal project update starring, once again, Tony.
I'm actually more the moderator here than the star of this production, but yes, we have liked the format from Project 2 of providing a quarterly update on how progress is going. Now that we have gotten some warmer weather and have really started to see some progress with our geothermal project, we have a team from Vergy here that will provide an update, and then to go back to in this presentation as well, they'll provide kind of the latest rumblings on the Inflation Reduction Act, because that was a topic the board had asked us to bring back in the future. So with that, I will turn it over to Verity.
Good evening. So again, as Tony mentioned, we're really here to provide you with an update on the geothermal wellfield project and then give you our perspective on the IRA incentive program. We'll screw this up. But one of the things that we wanted to share with you, if you remember last year, we talked about that because we do so much work with K-12 school districts, we realized a while ago that it was really an opportunity for us to provide live learning lab projects. And so because of that, we recently just kicked off our internship program here at the district. And so we wanted to share a little bit about the program and then actually bring the students up to give you some information for them as well. And we actually are going to have them present a high-level overview of the status of the geothermal project. And then of course, the team members will give you some more information on it and elaborate. And then we're going to then of course touch upon the IRA tax incentive. So with that, last year around November is when we got started with the project, and that's actually when we posted the internship program on the website. We received 16 applicants. We invited 6 of them to come in for interviews, and let me tell you, it was very, very difficult to narrow it down from 16 to 6 students because we got so many good students to choose from. So from there, again, we invited 6 to come in. We actually ended up interviewing 5 of them. And we selected 2 interns, Connor Shiskowski, did I do that right? And Isabella Kessel. So they're gonna come up here in a few minutes and provide you with some information on how it's going from their perspective and what they're looking forward to. But part of this program, as you know, is, we all learn better when we do hands-on learning. And so we wanted them to really spend a lot of time with our operations group, with our project managers and our site superintendents while the project's going on. So every Tuesday and Thursday, they come and have sessions with us for 45 minutes. And they will spend a lot of time with our project management group, but they're always also spending time with other divisions of Verity. So far they've met with our engineering group to learn about the project, right, from a design standpoint. They've also met with our marketing group, and they've met with myself, our account management and sales. And there's a lot of additional divisions that they're going to be meeting with, our safety division, our measurement verification as well. So we really want to give them an opportunity to learn about all the different career paths out there, not just construction management or project management. So make it well-rounded. In addition to that, they're of course going to be really in depth in the geothermal project, but one of the things that we approached the administration about was providing the district with an energy assessment of the entire building, as well as a solar assessment at risk. And with that, we can provide some recommendations, but we want to involve the students in that process as well. And so that's going to be kicking off here in the next month or so as well. So during the school year, it's 2 sessions for 45 minutes, Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then during the summertime, they're going to be coming in 5 days a week for 4 hours, spending all that time with their students as well. So we're really excited about it. We think it's a good program. And one of the things that of course we know is a benefit is that they're going to get an opportunity for problem solving and for good communication skills and presentations. And so that's why we wanted to bring them here tonight to meet you and tell you a little bit about the program from their perspective. So I'm actually gonna have them come up right now, spend about 2 or 3 minutes presenting, and then we'll move to the geothermal update. So Isabella Kessel is one of the first students. She's gonna come down and talk.
Hi, my name is Isabella Kessel, and I've learned a lot from Verigy thus far. So overall, we've learned a lot about construction safety, namely both PPE and OSHA standards. PPE stands for personal protection equipment, and that regards to hard hats, high visibility vests, goggles, gloves, and anything that can potentially assist in keeping individuals safe while on site. We've also learned a lot about OSHA standards. So Verigy, among other companies, follow these standards, which are rules and regulations for electrical, large vehicles on site, ladders, scaffolding, and anything else that could potentially be harmful. And this will all ensure that like the safety of the site overall. Furthermore, we've also learned a lot about the geothermal well field in general. So our OPRS geothermal well field is a closed loop system, which means that the water running through it never leaves the system. And so basically what happens is we dig wells and insert pipes into them, and we run water through it. So in the summertime, you can kind of see on the graphic to the left. In the summertime, the water coming out of the building is very warm, and so they run it through the pipes, and the earth naturally pulls it and sends it back into the building as air conditioning. And then in the winter time, the opposite happens, where water coming from the building is very cold and it goes down. It is run through the pipes, the earth warms it, and it's sent back into the building as heat. What's great about the system is that a single unit failure won't affect the entire system, which is very unique and practical. So overall, OPRS geothermal well field has 240 wells. They're each 20 feet apart. They're 18 inches in diameter. And they have a 606 tons total capacity, which is kind of like a cooling potential. Throughout this internship, kind of like what Ms. James was talking about, we looked at a lot of career paths. And so overall, I anticipate learning a lot more about those. We've been introduced to the account executive, construction project manager, safety superintendent, and marketing department, which all play vital roles within the company. So a couple of things that I'm looking forward to are the energy and solar assessments. So these are assessments that kind of assess how the school can improve on in terms of green energy. And so I'm very excited to explore more about that. And I'm also looking forward to participating in more construction client and board meetings, not only to meet more individuals that are involved with this project, but to also learn more about the changes that are being made at our school as a whole. Thank you.
And next we have Connor Chizowski coming up as well.
Hey guys, I'm Connor Chizowski. And in addition to what she said, me and Isabella have learned a lot of important details about Verigy as a company. So we've learned that as one of America's most prominent energy services companies, Verigy focuses on creating an efficient transition from fossil fuels to renewable energies such as the geothermal in our backyard. And it's a nationwide company that splits America into 3 parts: East, Central, and West. And primarily Verigy focuses on K-12 schools and airports and things like that, but currently is trying to break into the federal market and work at various things such as military bases. A couple of things I anticipate learning is as a prospective environmental engineer myself, I hope that this internship will give me a lot of professional experience and really get me inside the mind of a professional engineer and learn the processes that they go through. So that being said, I hope to learn the design process, blueprint processes, and witness construction firsthand. Additionally, I hope that me and Bella can get a better understanding of solar and energy related affairs, and also just energy data collection in general. Because I feel like learning these skills would be really helpful for me in my future. And yeah, I just really think this internship presents a lot of good opportunities. And as far as future events planned that we have go, we are going to be visiting other Verigy renewable energy sites. That way, we're not limited only to this geothermal site. We'll also tour various solar areas and just witness how environmental engineers tackle different obstacles. That way we can get a holistic view of the field, you know? And I also hope to witness the construction and engineering processes firsthand. You know, I feel like this internship will give us experience that most college kids aren't lucky enough to get. So I'm really thankful for that, and I'm looking forward to this summer. Thank you.
You guys can stay up here, yeah. We'll take the hard questions, but we're gonna let them actually give you a high level overview of where things sit today. And then our team will step in and give you a little bit more in-depth look at how things are right now.
So for a bit of an update, as of last week, we had about 30% of the well field complete. And then as of today, we had about 45% complete. So more specifically, we had 123 well fields, or wells completed. And then for the estimated well field installation overall is predicted to be done by the end of April. And then for the estimated football field to completion, that's estimated to be done at the end of July.
And as far as like recent status updates goes, an abandoned Newport pipe was found just east of the football field. But we've since worked with Newport to remove that pipe, and we're currently working on layering some concrete over that mistake. So it's all good. Luckily, we have people like Rick and Brian here to help us take care of like unforeseen problems like that. And other than that, I think it's going pretty smoothly.
Thanks, guys. Nice job. So we're really excited about the program, and they actually got to visit the site today in person with all of their safety gear on, and I think that's the most exciting to see them so far with all the sessions. So it's been great. But I'm gonna actually have Brian Overman, he's our project manager, and come up here and tell you a little bit more about project, kind of things, what we can predict moving forward in the next month. And then Gordon's actually gonna come up in a couple minutes and talk about the IRA incentive as well. I think we're pretty lucky right now. We had some pretty rough weather, as you all know. I wish that Isabella and Connor had been able to come out here and see what we're going through at that point, but their first day wasn't too bad. But anyway, with the improved weather, we're actually picking up quite a bit on the number of wells that we're able to get done, and I'll have Brian talk a little bit about that right now.
Yeah, so our schedule is dependent on your schedule when you need the football field. So that's when we have to be done. So as a project manager, I have to go backwards. When we have to be done to where we are today. Our site superintendent, Rick, he has a software that says how many holes do we have to have done by the end of every day. So we have an accurate count of how many we've got, how many we expect, because we've got to turn it over to you. So the schedule looks like in April, we'll be done with all of the messy work of the drilling of the wells by the end of April. And then in May, they'll start putting in the drainage that we removed for the geothermal well field project. And then after the drainage, obviously, then we'll put the turf on top. And that process will get us through June and then the first few weeks of July to finish and tie up any loose ends. That's about it. Sure. Yeah, I know.
So what we are looking at on the screen here, the first two pictures are the vaults that we have installed for the controls, valve controls, temperature controls for the entire geothermal system. The third picture is the piping that comes out of the vault and goes north up East Avenue, and that will connect to Gilbane's portion of the project. The fourth picture there is what the view will look like from the surface of the vault.
So you can see the two manhole access covers that can be utilized to access the interior of the vault. On the bottom left is kind of the locations of where those are all located. You can see where the vault is, and then as well as the where we found the abandoned piping underground that Connor previously mentioned. So the top left is the cutting of the turf. I compare it to a large pizza cutter. It goes across, cuts the turf into strips, and it gets rolled up. Following that, you can see all the trucks mobilizing on site to begin excavating all the stone in the drainage system. The third picture there is actually where we ran into that abandoned gas pipe underground that we had to remove. It was in the way of our process piping that is going up East Avenue to connect to the Gilbane portion of the project. Then you can see kind of some of the weather related issues that we were running into, a lot of snow, a lot of below freezing temperatures. And then as the weather is getting better and better, we're able to increase our production. When it was freezing out, we were averaging about 18 wells completed per week, and now we're about 25 to 26 wells completed per week. So the weather turning around is definitely helping us with the progress. And then the bottom right picture is a tight picture that we have of last week. So as we drill the wells, we have overburden come out that has to get pumped into separation tanks, and then we have vacuum trucks that come in, remove all the overburden spoils and from the tank separation tank, and then haul them off site. So it's kind of a timeline of where we started at and where we're at now.
Yeah, and unless there's any questions on where we're at with the project, we're gonna have Gordon come up and talk a little bit about the IRA incentive. Sound good?
Thanks, Michelle. All right, so I'll talk about the IRA reimbursement details, piggyback on what Tony mentioned, some updates on rumblings that we're seeing from our tax advisors, from what we're seeing in the news and everything. So as of today, Inflation Reduction Act, still the law of the land, still the law as we know it. An executive order does not cancel a law; it takes an act of Congress and on both parties there. Safe harbor procedure. This is a precedent. This is something that since the investment tax credit was around in 2005, there's been minor ebbs and flows with different administrations. Safe harbor, the precedent essentially says if you do a project while the law is a certain way, you're safe harbored into when the law was around and you did your project. So as long as you spend a certain portion of those project dollars while the law is the law, that safe harbors you into the amounts that were around during the law. So there's a lot of the last 20 or so years safe harbor precedent around the investment tax credit, which today is the Inflation Reduction Act. Wide benefit to all. So this is some security around the Inflation Reduction Act. So the majority of the proceeds from the IRA are actually going to, not to get political, but red states. So there's a variety of support on both sides to continue the benefits of the Inflation Reduction Act from a manufacturing standpoint, from supporting local jobs, renewables, clean energy. So there's a lot of support, and that's already been part of the news and some of the rumblings that have been out in Washington. Schedule, we're looking at partial or full system energization, which means the inside of Project 2, and also the geothermal system, which will be up and running in February of 2026. So the good news there, the first block is the normal calendar year. So just like a personal taxpayer, January, December would be the calendar year. And then if you're done by December, you would submit your taxes January, February, March of the next year.
But since schools, any public sector hasn't established your tax year, you can do the second block, which is the June through July. So essentially what this means, if we energize in February of 2026, that tax year would end in July of 26. So between February and July, we can finalize all the paperwork and then be really first wave in the July 2026 submission. So this is good news as opposed to the norm, which is January, December. We would have had to wait to January of 2027, but with the middle block there, our recommendation would be to take advantage of that fiscal year window, submit earlier, especially since the project will be fully energized as planned in February. And that will give the district the best chance to get earlier in line with the Inflation Reduction Act. Wish we had more concrete information about what everything is going on. Like we tell ourselves, contact your local representation. But given the popularity of the program, the wide benefit to all, and creation of local jobs, one thing that we're doing with the geothermal analysis down is domestic content, which made in USA energy is a big topic that everyone's behind. So we see that as kind of a sticking point as things move forward. So here to answer any questions that we might be able to answer.
Yeah, the only thing I wanted to add is that with that timeline, if it's energized in February, then what we're seeing is 4 to 6 months for payment at that point.
Good point, thank you.
So I'll start if that's okay, Tom.
Please.
So first of all, thank you very much for involving our students in a very meaningful way. It's clear that it's not just superficial checking the box here. I like how you had them come and present the element. I think that's really great. Now, this is a valuable update. How many of these kinds of updates or at what frequency did we commit to, Tony? Can you remind me of that?
I would think this is a much shorter project than project 2. So we would probably look to come back and give an update in between the I would think either the second May meeting or the first June meeting to discuss the completion of the well field, an update on the schedule, and then the status of the turf.
Okay, so sometime this summer.
Yep.
And I realize I won't even ask you for a percentage likelihood projection at this point with regard to our ability to still enjoy the production tax credit that we're all banking for. But it'll be great to, I think, have an update though by this summer, because who knows, there'll be more material evidence and so forth, and sort of reading of the tea leaves that I think will be available, which is good. And then of course there comes the ceremonial turning of the wrench when perhaps you get a chance to open up the system. Last thing I'll just mention is, we're taking some actions right now with how we deploy monies to our summer capital programs. And you've been very effective at, I think, deferring some work that's the value equivalent of about $6 million, is that right?
Just over, yes.
Right. So that's a great contingency plan. But we still have an opportunity to enjoy the good news story of receiving this production tax credit. And the benefit thereof is that with that tax credit, the combined operating and capital expense taken together means that this system will have an annual energy cost savings of about $300,000 per year for the life of the system as compared to a traditional gas or electric fired system.
Yep.
So while there may be this uncertainty that remains right now, that good news story is still out there to be achieved, hopefully if all the production tax credits are still accessible to us. So that's more comment than question, but thank you for this presentation, very good.
If I may, one thing that I did not want to gloss over was in the presentation. But I do want to extend a thank you to Verigy. The Nightport gas line that was removed, the abandoned line. Initially, they had said that cost would be in the district to remove it. And they went to bat for us and went to bat for us again and again, and then Nightport came out and removed it at their own cost. So we are seeing a little bit of savings because of that hard work. So just wanted to thank you all and recognize you for that.
Other questions or comments?
I'm just delighted this is going forward so well. So thank you both.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would echo what Graham said, and I would ask our students to be able to give us feedback as they work through this of what, I mean, we're hearing what they learned, but these, Connor, you said it, this is an experience that I would venture many college students do not experience. So, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't have more OPRF students experiencing it. And the way we can continue to make it better is through one, partnering with those we're working with, but for your feedback on what did you learn, what can we do to make these experiences truly, life altering for you, our students, so. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good. Minute to do a little room shuffling, and our next topic is our school safety protocol updates.
So as we're transitioning, I'll say a few quick words. The board has had a goal this school year to focus on the school environment and safety in particular. It is a focus of our strategic plan, and of course, it's linked to district policy as well, 4170, providing a safe learning environment. I'll remind the board too, we have a new director of campus safety and security. Is here tonight to give us some information, some updates on some new work that we're doing in the safety and security world, and specifically about our emergency response protocol. So Linda, I'm actually not sure if I'm turning it over to you first.
Yeah, just words.
All right, Linda, it's yours.
Good evening, everyone. Just a reminder as we come to you with this information that we have in years past been trying to overhaul our emergency protocols, just so that we had some common language and common understanding of what to do in a case of emergency. And so Kristen, and with her hiring for this year, has really come with her expertise and helped us to come with a system she's going to talk about today that has also unified us with our neighboring districts. So turn it over to Kristen.
Thank you very much. So I know that you guys have had access to the content that was sent out earlier, as well as the slide deck. So I just want to make sure that I go over and explain to you what we're actually doing and what the training has looked like for people. So the way that we started this process was pulling together an internal team of people to help us design what the implementation or rollout was going to look like, and what our timeline was going to be for that. So we were very intentional about making sure that the rollout was going to work for everyone, that we would communicate across all of our school community, so our faculty, our staff, our students, and parents, and make sure that the message that we deliver would be really clear and easy to understand, which is really the goal of what this process is. So the process that we've adopted is called the Standard Response Protocol. It was created by an organization called the I Love You Guys Foundation. The name of that foundation came from the people who created it, Ellen and John Michael Keyes. Their daughter Emily was sadly killed in a school shooting, and that was the last text that she sent to them. So that's why they have the unique name. But I have worked very closely with them in previous jobs that I've had. And the thing that I felt was so important about the work that they do is that their intention is for schools to have the best program that they possibly can for emergency response at little to no cost. So as you see other districts around the country even adopting these protocols, and businesses and healthcare industry as well, adopting these protocols, is because they really do actually work. They really are evidence-based, and they really are accessible to people without a ton of cost, which is fantastic when we don't really know what the budget for school safety could be moving forward. Anything could potentially change. So as we implemented this, the message that we wanted to share is that we are transitioning to 5 specific actions that people will need to take in an emergency situation, depending on what that emergency might be. So you'll see on the screen the 5 actions: hold, secure, lockdown, evacuate, and shelter. These apply to basically any situation that we might find that could be an emergency within the school. And there is standardized canned language for each one of those particular emergencies. So the first step was to roll it out to our faculty and staff, and we started doing that in January with faculty meetings, as well as lunch and learns and division meetings, making sure that everybody was aware of it and that everybody had their poster with the information that you see on the screen, as well as directions for students and faculty if there was an announcement made that we were going to go into one of those actions. Next, we rolled out to parents, sending out a communication that included information about each of these actions and what they could expect communication-wise from us. And then finally, last week, we rolled out to students with a really amazing video that was made by our communications department. It was really fantastic. It involved students, it involved staff members, and was a really great and entertaining video that I think got some buy-in from our students and our employees. So I'm really proud of the work that we've done over the past couple of months to roll this out. And now we're at the point where we have implemented and we're moving forward with the sort of adjacent programs to this, but this was the main focus of getting it out and up and running for the beginning of the year.
And we open the floor for any comments or questions.
Questions? Iris?
So last year during one of the it was either a secure drill or sorry, a hold drill or an actual hold, I got stranded in the art room. And I was supposed to be have this thing where some students are in the counselor offices anyway. What are we doing to make sure those students, teachers know where they are and where they are is safe? Because I had to ask the art teacher and tell them my teacher's email. What ways are we trying to streamline the stranded student process?
There's a couple of things to consider there. Number one, if somebody finds themselves in a restroom, there's going to be specific directions inside the restrooms for what you should do given those circumstances. So any one of those particular circumstances. If we're talking about a hold situation, then you should return back to your classroom or get to a classroom place that you might be able to have a locked door and wait for the situation to be over. For a lockdown situation, we want to make sure that people are able to get into a secure locked position and not have to go into the hallway. So if you're in the bathrooms is where you would want to stay.
I'm sorry. God.
Wait, can we evacuate?
Well, considering some other noises that you can hear during an evacuation or emergency situation, this one's actually not that bad. Yeah. Yeah, on the hierarchy of problems, this one's. So another point to make about what you talked about is that as we start to deploy the Raptor program, so we use Raptor Visitor Management right now, but we're going to be rolling out the Raptor Emergency Management Program And a part of that is that it's actually synced with our attendance information. So if you go into another teacher's classroom, that teacher can list you as in their room, and so we know where you are. And that is a way that we are building greater accountability for our students and our employees during an emergency situation. So that if someone is missing from a classroom, because during an emergency situation, we want to take attendance as soon as it's practical and safe. We want to know where our students are, so that if they're not in the correct classroom, we'll be able to have that documented.
To your point, I understood the posters that will be in the bathroom and also in the classroom will better explain what each thing is, so you'll know, oh, cold. That's this type of emergency, whereas secure and teach kind of left people wondering whether or not something is truly in the room or, yeah.
Yeah. And then I have one more. How feasible is it to start communicating things like evacuation drills, specifically fire drills, to our students? Because many of our neurodivergent students really struggle during specifically a off-the-wall fire drill. Many times I've been told by my teacher the period it's going to happen, but I believe if we start communicating that earlier, we can better support specifically our neurodivergent students who aren't in special education. Because I know a fire drill can disrupt my whole day because of that sensory overwhelm. Can we start communicating that earlier to our students, or would that affect the efficacy?
I was gonna say, for the start of the year in the fall, when we do all of our drills together, we do notify students in advance because it includes a lockdown. That's the only one that's required to be announced. However, our faculty and our staff always knows when we're going to have a drill coming up. So we can work better with teachers in terms of how we're rolling that information out to students, because they are aware, like the drill we just had last week, they're aware of that and can start letting students know that earlier.
Can we make that like an email or something though? Because I know some teachers just forget or don't share it. And I just feel like students being put in this conversation more is better.
I like the suggestion, sure.
I win.
I have a question. In implementing this program, and then the other one, which is, what's it, Raptor? That's the next.
Next step.
Are there any say physical, but like equipment or changes or modifications that need to be made to any parts of the building, whether it's classroom or hallways, bathrooms, whatever, special locks, or I don't know what it would be.
Not at this point in regards to the Raptor program or the standard response protocol. There may be some other things that we need to figure out as far as, we're expanding the number of actions that we take. So we need to add some buttons on our manual drill, sort of an override situation. But as far as around the entire building and whether locks will work or things like that, this won't impact that at all. So yeah, we don't need to add any equipment across the board in this school. There's just a couple of things that we're tweaking because of the number of actions that we have versus what we used to.
I just had a quick question on how temporary staff or substitute teachers are informed of this protocol, and if they're not, if there's any value in appointing a student leader for each class that understands the protocol to ensure continuity for this.
Yeah, I think that's a good suggestion to have students who are leaders in this area. But I have also delivered this information to new employee orientations. We've hired new substitute teachers and other employees. I have given this information to them as well. I would intend to do that consistently as we hire new people and have new people coming on. We also have posters with the instructions in the classrooms. All of the classrooms should have them. And so with that training, that should be pretty consistent across the board, as well as the images in the classroom should be helpful to teachers. There's always gonna be room for improvement, but I do like the suggestion of having student leaders that can help when there is that gap in knowledge or experience.
And I did just think we can see if we can't ask if the video that was created can be shown at our guest teacher orientation when they are brought into the school as new employees. So see that video. It's very comprehensive.
Welcome, and I'm glad you're here. We're all glad you're here, and we're grateful to have someone with your knowledge and your experience, keeping our school community safe. So thank you. Thanks for all your work this year. I had a question about the rollout of this. It sounds like we went out to parents first before rolling this out to our students.
Yes.
It was really savvy. I congratulate you for that. That was really smart. I think nothing more terrifying than a parent than getting a text or being worried that there's a lockdown at high school. And when you don't know what's going on for however long that goes on, it continues to be terrifying. So I guess I'm glad that we're already rolling this out to our parents. I think that's going to be followed by a lot of parents. My question is about sort of setting the expectation for our parents about what communications they will receive from us. Can you go into that a little bit about, for each of the different categories, are we explaining to parents what they can expect in terms of a text or an email or the cadence or like just letting them know in advance how that will work?
Yeah, so in the communications that we send to parents is that we let them know that they can expect information from us when we take one of these actions. But what the action is and the reason for it might dictate what that cadence actually is. Because we're considering safety first and then the communication is the next piece. So if we're in a situation, say a lockdown, for example, we want to get information out to parents right away that is accurate and timely. And then we want to hopefully be able to reach out to them every 15 minutes with updates as we possibly can. And that would be in an ideal situation. That may not be practical given the circumstances, depending on what the situation is. So that the context is always going to dictate whether or not we're capable of doing that, but that's the goal. One thing that we did when we did our hold drill the other day was we actually did send a communication out to parents, letting them know that we were doing an actual drill. And so that went out to everyone in Parent Square. And so that people were aware this is just a drill, because there could be any number of kids in here who didn't hear that it was just a drill, who might have been scared and like, well, something's actually happening now, or heard a rumor, and we wanted to kind of calm that before it became a runaway train, basically. So that's what we're doing, is we're trying to be proactive about our communications. And so when we have a drill or we have an incident where it is easy for us to communicate, we're going to do it proactively and then reach out at regular cadences and let them know what that cadence is going to be given the circumstances. And then of course, when we're in a lockdown situation, the cadence and our ability to communicate is going to be dictated by safety.
We are also trying to hold more random drills of a hold or a shelter type or a secure nature, so that we can be ready in times of not planned ones. But we won't do that for the fire only because we know the alarm causes the sensory issues. But for the other ones, we just want people to be ready at a different cadence than just the planned ones.
Thank you.
Have we looked at how those random secure drills work back specifically our team program? They move a lot during the day, and I know during that secure drill, actually, they didn't know when in the period it would happen. We had some students trying to go to a related service speech, and they got trapped in, I believe it was just a room that he wasn't supposed to be in. Him and his aide, obviously, but.
Glad you said aid. That's as long as they're with their aid, we're not feeling. And then know that we have to do random, because that could happen in a situation where it's a true. What do we do in those moments? And so we do these drills so that these questions come up, so that we can then find out what are we going to do if we're surprised by something truly happening, what will we do? So we will answer those questions so that those individuals know where to be during and where to go during those times.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, well, Tim, gonna ask my question relative to communication with parents. I appreciate that. I got the message, that was it Tuesday or Wednesday, about the drill, and I thought that was just really helpful to know. So if something came up, you knew what was going on. So kudos for that. And I really appreciate just the standard response. I mean, being able to be clear, this is easy to understand as people learn it, and to understand what's going on when you see and how you respond and what to do. I think it's going to make a big difference for our families and for our students. And also just the fact that our theater schools are already using this, which I thought was really great. And I just want to talk, can you talk a little bit more about the reunification piece? I mean, I think that that's another piece that would be really important, and do you think that something actually does happen?
Yeah, and that's a next step in implementation of this program. So the standard reunification method is the other half of this. And that is actually ends up being a bigger lift because there's a lot more coordination of resources and identifying places where we can go that can actually house us. I'm sure everybody in here is aware that there is no building in Oak Park except for this building that can house everyone who is actually in this building. And so that becomes our struggle if we need to go to an alternate site for reunification. So we do talk quite a bit with our partners in the feeder districts, but as well as emergency management for the village, law enforcement, fire and EMS as well, on what that looks like for us moving forward. How do we do this? And so we're coming up with multiple different ways, depending on the circumstance, that we could actually apply the standard reunification method to how we would return students to their families after an emergency situation in the school. It could be that, problem is the building itself, and so that we could do a reunification maybe at Ridgeland Commons. It could be that there's some sort of a hazmat situation, and because the air quality is poor, we need to relocate somewhere else. It could even be outside of Oak Park because of the air quality. We're very close to train tracks, and so that's a reality for us. As a matter of fact, just today, we had a gas issue and we had to move people from a classroom. And knowing that we didn't have to do a full evacuation was great. But it's also good to know that we're able to on the fly adjust and to do the things that we need to do to protect people inside the building. So we could end up doing a reunification inside the building because maybe public transit has gone down. So if we have people who need to come and get their kids here because there's some transportation problem, otherwise we can do that here. So what the standard reunification method is going to do for us is it builds on that accountability for where the students are and who we're handing them off to in that emergency situation. So making sure that we are documenting who is it that's picking this child up, do they have the authority to do so, who do we hand them off to, time did that happen, who are the people that are supervising them, what place did they actually go to, and then consistently communicating with parents about what location they need to go to, what the process is going to be, make sure you bring an ID with you, those types of things. So it's the communication piece, it's on our end, the paperwork piece or the technology piece of making sure that we have documentation of how this happened, who we released the child to, and we knew that they had the authority to do that. But also coming up with a plan on where are we going to go if we are no longer able to be here. So all of those things are happening right now. There are some training programs that are going to be happening over the summer, and we're anticipating a full-scale drill of this process with our partner districts and partner agencies as well. Hopefully this summer we'll be doing that, and so that we'll be able to actually fully run through it and understand what else we might need to work on, any opportunities for improvement or things that we already have that are strengths that we didn't even realize were capabilities that we had and that we can build on. So I think it's a lot of work. It's a heavier lift than I think even rolling this out, but in the long run, it really does protect our students and parents, and it gives us a little bit of comfort to know that we're doing the right thing at the end of the day when an emergency situation has happened.
Tim, do you have another question?
Yeah, sorry. Can you talk a little bit about the handle care email? And I'm not clear on what information we're getting and then what we do with that information. Can you just kind of walk us through how that's gonna work?
So Handle with Care is a program that has been implemented, I'd say for the past 15 years in various places across the country. It's a trauma-informed process that basically just lets the schools be aware of when children have experienced traumatic stress in the community. And that information wouldn't always come to us from law enforcement, fire, EMS, or even DCFS in the past. And so DCFS is not involved in this process, but law enforcement, fire, and EMS can be. So the way this would work for us, and the conversations that we've been having with District 97 is that we have an email that is designated handlewithcare@oprfhs.org. And similar for District 97, and the police department would simply send us an email with the student's name, parent's name, and the date the incident happened. And it in the subject line, it says handle with care. From our perspective, we don't necessarily need to know what happened to this student. We just need to know that something happened and to just open our eyes and pay attention. So this doesn't mean that we actually approach the student and ask them about it. It's just us being mindful that the student may struggle. If we recognize that they're falling asleep in class, then, how do we respond to that? Are we gonna yell at them? Is there discipline involved in that? What does that look like? And so if we recognize, in this particular instance, that something significant has happened for this child and we need to get them supports, then we get them to the correct people, to the correct resources. Hopefully, in the long run, this would make us more mindful in general. And when we're recognizing, hey, I got a notification about a student who was really sleepy because they'd been up all night, there was an incident that happened in their home. And now I have another student in my class who's behaving kind of in the same way. Maybe that indicates to me that that's a sign of trauma and not just disobedience, and we can respond to it in a more respectful, helpful, and supportive way. So it starts off as a conversation about how can we support our kiddos that experience difficult things in the community, and becomes a broader conversation about how do we respond to the behaviors that are presenting in our classroom and what could be the causes behind them.
The track of communication there is from the OPPD to either Kristen, myself, or David. And then we send an email to the teachers of that student and any of the service support providers that they have within the building. And all it says is handle with care and the student's name.
And this is something that both Oak Park PD and River Forest PD are participating in?
Right now, it's just Oak Park PD. We're kind of piloting and rolling out with them. So we're gonna start the process of getting officers trained, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, so that we can get things up and running. And then the next step would be kind of broadening to see what that looks like with the fire department, EMS, and River Forest.
I would think maybe the township social services might also be good people to bring into this, people who are working with our kids actively, but may need some additional communication with us. I want to ask you about sort of a related situation, but I'm worried there's a communication gap that remains. I really like the handle with care approach. It's thoughtful, it centers our students. I like the trauma-informed aspect of it. So kudos for bringing that to our school. I think the thing that I'm worried about is a situation where the student is less of a concern than the risk to the school community and potential harm to the school. And that is, I'll give you the hypothetical. There's a party at a house on a Saturday night. Kids get into a fight. Police are called. The police break up the fight. But even though there's, the fight is over in the moment, clearly there's still beef between these two kids. And it's pretty clear to everybody that fight is at risk of continuing on. And we as a high school are at risk on Monday morning of those two kids coming in and continuing the beat, right? It's my understanding that there is no mechanism for either police department to notify us or to send us an incident report or to, there's no formalized process for us to get word that we as a school are at risk on Monday morning. And am I wrong about that, or is there still a communications gap?
So there's not a formalized method for, say, a regular beat officer to contact the school and give us an official report. But we do on Monday mornings meet with Oak Park PD regularly, and along with District 97. So if there's any cross pollination there with issues, we can have that conversation. But one of the things that I've been really intentional about since I've been here is building relationships with individual officers and command staff so that when something like that does happen, they feel comfortable contacting me and we can have a conversation about what's going on, what their concerns are, what my concerns are. And so I do pretty regularly get emails and phone calls and text messages from officers saying, hey, we had this thing happen and you know, can you maybe answer some questions for us, or can you help us out with something? And so, and then I do the same and contact them and ask them, hey, we had this report about an incident that happened in the community and we're concerned that this is going to carry on in the school. What other information do you have? So it's not a formalized conversation that happens, but it is something that I've been intentional on doing, is building the relationship so that it happens naturally. And so that's, you know, it's not formal. The formal conversation that happens with Oak Park PD is every Monday. So a lot of times we do capture odd things that happen in the community, and they let us know about any concerns that they might have or things that have, you know, happened here, we let them know about. But yeah, that's the extent to the formalized conversation that we have.
I really appreciate your outreach to individual officers. That is fantastic, and good for you. And it just speaks well of how you see your role as not limited to the four walls of this building, but that you see your role as keeping our kids safe by being out in the community and having those relationships. So good for you. I would urge you next Monday morning to begin to formalize, to begin to close that loop in a more formalized way, because there are officers who just not going to get to know, or who are not going to get to know you. And I think that is a communications gap that I think that does need to be formalized. So I would urge you to do that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Just very quickly, I thought it was an excellent report. And it was clear to me that in preparing it, you made use of our checklist for administration board reports. And I'm grateful for that. I really appreciate that. As administrators know, that's always at your fingertips in the governance section of every one of our buildings. Thank you.
Including page numbers.
The page numbers, yeah.
Okay, I think it's, you know, I'm gonna be short because my colleagues have expressed much of my question or my comments, which are complimentary. I do greatly appreciate the experience, you know, and doing something. Unfortunately, we're not the only ones in this country who are faced with these challenges of trying to keep our students safe. But thankfully, you have and are reaching out to what are best practices nationally and trying to bring them here. And not trying to invent our own ways of doing things, while at the same time recognizing we are who we are and learning who we are. So that's kind of a good blend. I do think, you know, we need to always keep River Forest in its Oak Park and River Forest, and as we look at this and our students. I've said this in the past, drills are critical. And I greatly appreciate, you know, more drills. I mean, they may, that's how you, how you know what to do is because you've done it. And I have the personal experience of my daughter being a teacher in a lockdown with a real incident. And so I was appreciative that day that they had done it and they knew what to do. And it's because of drills. So drill, not in this capacity, so thank you. Wrong, that wasn't, I wanna take that one back, Bob.
Supports fracking.
That was-
Sustainability guy.
Yeah, so thank you for your, what's going on here. I see us moving in a very positive direction here, on many facets, so thank you.
Dr. Maharaj has her hand up.
Oh,
Oh, it's okay. I'll be quick, which is I'm generally in agreement with this. I really appreciate the sort of the idea. I've run across that idea before that the student needs some extra care. Sorry, I can't remember the phrasing, but I think that's a great approach. My daughter is an OPRF senior who has insomnia and sometimes struggles to stay awake in class, and we really I appreciate the compassion that you're bringing to that situation. And yeah, in general, this approach makes a lot of sense. And, as a teacher myself, as a college teacher, every semester I walk into the classroom and I look around and I make my action plan for what am I going to do if there's a shooting situation. So, I appreciate the thoughtfulness and I echo Tom on the drilling that it helps. So thank you.
okay. Thank you very much. Okay, that concludes my agenda. That concludes our two discussion topics. We have board governance, and in today's, we do have the Atlas, and there have been a few modifications. Is there anything needing discussion at this point, Graham?
Thanks. Well, I sent out to everyone a request to affirm that I had correctly associated the right goals to the right two-person teammates.
Yep.
And I also asked folks to affirm if I was correctly registering where we stand on each one of the goals. I thank those of you who got back to me. If there was nothing to change, you didn't have to pass. So that's now here in the deck. That's the only significant change.
And it's great to be able to, have a current standard position of where we are, so that when we do then do a review, it's quick and easy. So thank you. Okay, that covers the governance. Our next segment is any reports worthy and needing any discussion. So I'm not gonna go through them. I'm gonna just go around, and I know there have been reports that have been issued. I had a question of what made the CFC so much fun, but so I did read your notes, but
And it wasn't as fun as it could have been because we lamented your absence.
Oh.
So it was not.
No, Fred.
There was a bit of a torpor present.
Are there any other updates or questions on the reports that are in listed?
As long as we're on this topic, can I just give you just a couple of quick verbal
Please,
highlights?
please.
Because you'll still read the write-up whenever you can, but the good news is the CFC has blessed our new financial peer districts. So we are moving ahead with that. The other highlight would be, thanks to Tony Arbogast and his team, preliminary WIP versions of some dashboard metrics are in that write-up. You'll see there, and CFC gave us some input and some ideas on how we might want to expand that. And then thirdly, we had kind of a wide open but constructive dialogue around what we might want to make our best practices and guidelines for how we want to fund long-term capital projects in our district. So we're not sort of inventing that method or rules of the road each time a major project comes up. Last thing I'll say is I've asked the CFC to convert to an every other month rather than an every quarter committee, because I'm gonna ask that it is a little bit more roll up of sleeves and actually be more of a work type of group. So those are the 4 highlights from that report.
Excellent. And I think, yeah,
No, go ahead.
yeah, and I would say that I think that last point about the going to every other month, I think is just a signal of really the lift that we're expecting from that group. Because they can add value to the district, so I appreciate that. Audrey?
Yeah, I just wanted to point out for, I sent the notes out just before our meeting. But one of the things we'd like to do is get everyone's feedback on a document that we've been developing called, so you're thinking about running for local office. And the intent of this is to help, just candidates in general, understand more about what the process is. Just things that you may not be able to easily find or locate when you're looking through information. For our next meeting, we're gonna have representation from the election board and also Triumph County Clerk to just come and say, what are some common, kind of things that candidates should think about, what are some common mistakes, what are some issues that you see, but just be able to have a resource for the community. Because we've had a lot of conversation about how do we broaden the pool of potential candidates for local offices and what can we do to kind of make that process, and just make the process easier. So my request to everyone is if you could look at the information that's that 1-pager and like any input or feedback we have about those questions and get back to me and Mary Ann. And Mary Ann, anything else to add about that?
All right, you got it. Keep going.
Yeah, so no, that's the main one. Then the other one is that the township shared that, with Pritzker's recent state of the state in looking at really how do you reduce the use of government. There's a Senate bill that could basically allow townships to be eliminated. So there's lobbying and things are going on, but Senate Bill 2504. And right now, townships with 50,000 or fewer residents under that proposed bill would lose their assessor's office. And they're looking at perhaps how they might merge townships and do some different things. And so Oak Park is working with other townships and other government entities to lobby about this. And we wanted to make sure we shared that their annual township meeting is April 8th at 7 p.m. in the main library. And typically if there's a referendum that comes up, that's where those things tend to come up. And so they just want the community to be aware of one, that this bill is out there, being proposed, and that, two, it could impact townships.
Thank you. I have a topic, when you're talking about filing for candidacy, et cetera. This is just for all of the board members, we should all have received a notice from Cook County that is the annual filing of economic interest. And I questioned it because I will, not be serving after April. But even those who are rolling off are required to do this. I think it's because of it's for, I asked the question and they said I still need to do it, so that would apply to you, Mary Ann. If you have a question, so fun. Okay, thank you. Other reports?
Where are my scholarships? When does mid-March end?
Talk about CCD first, but I will talk about the Scholarship Foundation. And the Scholarship Foundation has made all of its final decisions.
What?
Which will be announced on April 30th and not before, so stay tuned.
It said mid-March.
CCB had a good meeting last week. It was our annual meeting to take up any proposed changes to the BEP. And those changes were approved by CCB after lengthy discussion. We were there for over 2 hours, 2.5 hours. The changes that are going to be coming to us next meeting, or
Yeah, it'll be discussed at the April COW and voted on at the April
regular. They're primarily items that have been identified by the deans that sort of make the disciplinary reasons a little more specific. They realize that they've been kind of using a catch-all category for a lot of disciplinary action, And so we're breaking out, sort of, groupings of things, and placing those specific items within the PEP. So again, it was a really robust, excellent discussion by the committee. And we end up with 6 or 7 new additions to the PEP that will be coming to us. So,
Thank you, Tim. Other reports? Okay. Oh, yes.
For applause, in the scholarship sale in April. And that is a way for students to raise money, so students who sell the flower will get like 85% of what they sell, so they go with performing arts to raise money, so please support that when it comes along.
Thank you.
You can use money for it if you wish. But I don't want to speech.
Future agenda items. Oh, okay. Yes, I saw it on first, so.
Well, actually, it reminded me, with the presentation tonight, about, maybe Greg's plan about kind of an update on our sustainability efforts and kind of where we are overall. I mean, we know about the geothermal wells, but I know there are other, commitments that we've made, and so, there's a plan there that we want.
All right.
I think we should talk about, there's an election on April 1st. And if the rules remain the same, I think you have 30 days to seat the new board.
40,
okay. So is it safe to assume that the 10th will be a regular meeting with this crew? And is it your plan then to seat the new board on the 24th? I think you probably have to, or I haven't counted the days, but.
Well, no,
We were thinking about doing that in the May meeting.
a separate meeting after the April regular meeting is what seems to work.
Yeah, we talked about that during our
one of
regular meetings all at once. And so the idea is to keep the voting in sync with the COW. So because the new board won't be sat at the COW on April 10th, but discussing items that will be voted on the 24th, we'll keep the board after April 24th to vote on the stuff brought up with the COW, and then see the board meeting.
Okay, so you're gonna attempt to seat the new board after that meeting on the 24th, or just, okay.
At the mid-cal?
No,
April.
on the okay.
Ooh, special call meeting.
Yeah, so my core was jumping the gun a little bit and describing you as having fewer meetings than you actually have, but the good news is that we have a month of vetting to do.
Yes.
And we do get you and Mary Ann
for April 24th.
Yeah, for 2 full meetings, still.
Right. So your new agenda item is, your new business is what?
So I didn't know that you had apparently already devised a scheme to have a meeting, an agenda item on the 24th of seating new board.
Our next, any other new business?
So,
yes, Jonathan?
we, since I've been here anyway, we have not reviewed our Board of Education policy manual. And I think it'd be a good, I don't believe we have that.
Go ahead.
Well, in any case, I think that we're due one, and I think it might behoove us to do so before the new board seated, just to see if there's anything that we want to. That I just don't recall us recently reviewing it together.
Are you referring, I mean, yes, what exactly are you referring to? Just all of our board policies?
Just the Board of Education policy manual. It's the manual may be changed at any time. That's the little discretion of the board or the superintendent. But I just wanted to see, look at home in on the board portion of that particularly and go over the processes involved there. Just to, I think it would be useful for us all to take a look at it and see if there's anything that is outdated or.
When did you put out?
I don't even remember. But what about, I know we follow obviously state procedures, but we also have our own agreed upon in-house norms as well. And procedures that we follow, right?
You talking about board agreements?
I mean,
That's kind of what we go over when we,
Retreat. Yeah, I'm not quite clear.
well,
what
no,
the-
I'm more talking about just, yes, it's part roles and responsibility, it's everything from roles and responsibility to etiquette to, you know,
So I would say most of that is what if you look at the atlas, right? That's intended to cover that. If I'm hearing you correctly, that kind of etiquette, how we work together, what it is. Versus what you described as the policy manual, which is a deep dive, so I would think that, right? Yeah.
Maybe I'll chat with you after.
Okay.
To get a better perspective.
All right, any other new business?
Well, I'll just add, I don't know whether some of what you're talking about is also covered in the meeting with the ISB rep that we have periodically. So just like some of that gets covered with the ISB rep, some of it is in these other things. So I think.
Okay, with the ISB rep are agreements.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
Yeah.
in detail,
Yeah.
whereas the atlas itself just kind of hits the highlights. Okay, I have one which, I would like to add, and I've had numerous inquiries based on our political climate about federal funding. And so it would be helpful, I'd like to see a simple synopsis of what our district's federal funding is, just broken out. I mean, I know the order of magnitude of what the dollars are, and we know that, it's, as a percentage, it's a smaller number. But if there's a way, just a simple summary of knowing what we're getting from the federal government, I would, if there's a report or something, that would be beneficial just to understand what potential risk there is as we see change.
Yeah, I actually asked Greg for that in a meeting this past month too. So I second that.
I'm sorry, go back to Jonathan. I mean, I'm just looking in the board policy manual where it has like very specific policies with board education. Were those the ones that you were referencing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to make sure because I know it has everything from to elections, to governance, to vacancies, to conflict of interest, ethics ban, et cetera. So it has a whole list of things there. Yeah. So
I don't know if this is a Board of Education thing, but can we also make sure students are communicated on their status, their Pell Grants? Based on that, like, like you have a money person, figure that out, cause I'm the news just right now. I'm just so confused. And I think OPRF, due to the fact that a good amount of our students will be receiving Pell Grants next year.
interesting, I'm trying to figure out, well, where you guys, do schools get that information?
I mean, but like.
That's college.
Yes, but.
We can talk about that. Yeah, that's not, I don't think that's outside of our.
But, so yeah, you guys can have the school send out information to people.
We don't have it yet. We don't have.
If the Pell Grants are going to be got out.
Oh, like.
Like just if, like what's happening with the.
I see.
Oh, I see,
Specifically
okay.
for you.
Yes,
Okay.
I no, not just for me, please.
No, well.
And actually, I'm sorry, can I just add, while we're on this topic of, the national uncertainty, when I asked my college students what questions they had, several of them were concerned about what would happen if the Department of Education, quote unquote, went away. And they were worried that like public education would go away. And so we had a conversation and I explained it to them. But I just wonder whether that's an issue for OPRF students, if there's a concern, if there should be some kind of explainer. I don't know, but I just wanted to mention it because it was definitely something that my undergrads were very worried about and confused about. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think the question of the funding is somewhat the same. It's a different way of asking kind of the same question.
Well, kind of, right? Like the funding question is about like what is what percentage of our funding is based on property tax versus state funds, for example, whereas the national question of if the Department of Education goes away, well, what that actually means is not they're going to close all the public schools. It means we're going to probably lose some staffing, and that organization's function might go back into some other organization of the government, right? It was historically it was split off from another organization of the government, right? So so that's just a historical piece and a civics piece that might be worth making sure that our students understand, or at least the ones that are interested. Maybe a flyer. I don't know, Greg. I think that one's maybe more for Greg than a board thing, now that I think about it.
Yeah, I follow that, okay.
All right,
I follow that. Thank you.
that concludes our Greg, do you have any questions or on clarification on what was brought forth?
Maybe, I don't think so, well, maybe a little bit, I think it's something that get handled in our regular process, so what I was gonna ask is the next POW an appropriate time to maybe, we would probably have a flight, we have enough future agenda items to warrant bringing it forward for, board review and
Yeah.
discussion. Should we do it at the POW? Should we
Yeah.
do the
I would say the cow.
2 weeks from now, I'll bring it forward.
Yeah.
Moo.
All right. Okay.
All right, that concludes it. I move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.
All right. Good night, folks.